A lot of the conversations we have on the radio involve the economy in the county.
Right.
Ways to spur the economy, ways to get new growth in, what businesses would fit nicely here in our communities. And Mason County Commissioner Kevin Shutty has been working closely with the State Department of Commerce. He's had some conversations with Governor Inslee about opportunity zones, economic opportunity zones. We'll put the links to where you can find some good information on this from commerce.wa.gov on the show notes here later. But once again, welcome into the studio, Mason County Commissioner Kevin Shutty. Morning, sir.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Vicky. How are you?
Thanks for coming back on the air with us.
Yeah,
and opportunity zones.
Yeah, some exciting stuff for Mason County.
And I know we were going to have Andy Arness in from the city of Shelton in because there's some work being done within the city limits too. Unfortunately, he had a scheduling conflict, and so he's unable to join us. But talk to me a little bit about the background of this, what you were able to discuss with the governor, and how it will benefit the county.
Sure. So this is an exciting opportunity, as it were, for Mason County, and really for rural and distressed communities across the country are going to be able to take advantage of this. So just a little background on economic opportunity zones. They were created as part of the federal tax reform package that was passed by Congress late last year.
Oh, okay.
So part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and it creates opportunity zones and opportunity funds in areas like Mason County that have struggled to come back after the Great Recession. And so initially there was kind of a little bit of a slow rollout from the federal government on that, but I first heard about these way back in February and started digging into it a little bit and having some conversations with staff at the county and saying, hey, is this a real thing? You know, is this something that we could benefit from here in Mason County? And just going through that process, started work with Andy Arness at the city, who is just a tremendous partner for us, the city's economic development officer, and we started to go through figuring out if Mason County should be participating or not, and through that we started to draft a letter to Governor Inslee to say we have a March 20th deadline. Don't forget about Mason County. So states were able to nominate 25% of their eligible census tracts based on census data that shows sort of the economic indicators that they're struggling. And so we had a number of those in Mason County that were eligible, and so we said to the governor, hey, don't forget about us over here. He's been a great partner to us. When the Simpson Mill closed, he was able to help bring some state resources in to help with that, and so we were hopeful that we could get consideration for this. So at that point, the commission here in the county sent a letter to him and asked for us to be included, and then I started to work with our local stakeholders, and so that was reaching out to the Economic Development Council, reaching out to the chambers, working with the tribes, and just trying to build a coalition of support for Mason County to make us competitive at the state level when it was time to make these decisions. So fast forward to the end of March, the state then had all of our information, and they had asked for an extension. And on April 20th, we learned that two census tracts were included in Washington State's designation, and so we're really excited about that. It's kind of an innovative program, and there was a lot of partisan bickering over the passing of the tax reform package. I understand that, but this is that one part of it that has a lot of bipartisan support. There's support from both sides of the aisle. Governors in very red states and governors in very blue states were working hard to make sure that that their areas were able to get included into this program. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Good.
So what does that mean for these areas in the county?
So we have, just for listeners' reference, the two areas that were designated. One was, it's called the Shelton North Census Tract. So it's the area that includes the port, up 101, and then out Johns Prairie, and then kind of is kind of a collar around the city on the north end, and kind of gets into the city a little bit there. And then the other one that was designated was sort of the south central part of the county, bordering Thurston County, and so includes a lot of tribal land there, which we're excited about being in a partnership with the Squaxin tribe on some of their plans and vision for that area. So. Those are the areas that were designated, and what this does is it allows investors who would have a capital gains tax liability, that would have an income tax on their capital gains. It allows them to invest that portion that they would have a tax liability on. It allows them to invest it in opportunity funds. So you pool capital, you're pooling private capital together, and then areas like ours are able to take advantage of those when it comes time to have projects that are ready to roll. So
good. Okay.
I'm excited about potential with infrastructure, affordable housing, projects like that would really be a pretty helpful shot in the arm for the county's economy.
What are some of the benefits for the folks who, other than not paying those capital gains taxes, do they get additional benefits? I'm reminded of a case, and I don't know if this is similar in nature, but it's kind of in my mind's eye is similar, where you can basically invest in a real estate property, and if that property gets built and sold, then you kind of get a little bit of a return on that investment. Is that kind of what this is all about? And is there an additional benefit other than just, which is a good benefit, obviously, not paying the capital gains?
Yeah. So it's kind of unclear at this point what the sort of the additional benefits might be to somebody investing in this, but we're talking about the Treasury estimated there's about $2.1 trillion that is being held that would otherwise be invested because of the capital gains income tax on the federal level. Wow. So even if we got a portion of those dollars moving into communities like ours, I think you would see a real benefit, to those communities and to those investors. I think that, there's certainly there's the extrinsic benefit. You're going to get the tax benefit, but there's also that sort of doing right by the communities that have been left behind in a lot of cases. So. In the next couple of weeks, the Federal Department of Treasury is going to release more of their guidelines. Last week, I was on a conference call with some folks from the White House that are beginning to roll this program out. Appreciate being included in that conversation because we want to make sure that we're putting Mason County in the best position to succeed here. And so we have another call coming up here in the next week or so once everything is finalized now, and then they'll be able to roll out those procedures and everything from the federal level. And it kind of in the meantime, I'll be bringing that stakeholder coalition back together, that group of local businesses and developers, as well as continuing to build our partnership with the tribes and the city, and just make sure that we're ready to take advantage of these once everything is set in stone and ready to move forward.
Very cool.
When it comes to these different zones in here and the way people can donate their money or invest it, if you will, is it money from Mason County stays in Mason County, or is this like a federal piggy bank where all of the zones get a portion of all of the funds?
So it's going to be pulled from across the country, and so it's going to go into national opportunity funds, and so I'm not sure as to how much money will be in there from Mason County, but certainly when you have the pooling power of the entire country, and as I mentioned, the $2.1 trillion that is sort of hanging out there and not being invested, I think that really would be incredibly helpful here to take advantage of that. So as I said, we'll kind of be learning more here in the coming weeks. The rollout has been kind of happening in stages, and now that the governors from across the country have finalized their designated areas, I think we'll be in a position to know exactly what's next, and certainly we'll keep you posted on next steps.
And
it's exciting.
Very cool.
And this isn't like they just picked zones in every county, in every state across the nation. As I look at this interactive map from the Commerce website, there are counties in the state that, for whatever reason, we don't know that, but for whatever reason, did not get included in this. Mm-hmm. So to have Mason County as a portion of this is pretty exciting.
It really is. And as I said, we had 139 census tracts eligible or designated in the state, and to have 2 of them is exciting for us.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes to, first and foremost, the need for this kind of investment and this kind of economic development in the county, but it speaks volumes to how hard everybody here locally decided to step up and work towards getting us into the pool and make sure that we were in a final designation from the governor's office.
That's great.
Very nice. 7:52 at iFiber One News Radio. Mason County Commissioner Kevin Shutty, and board meetings today.
Board meeting 6 o'clock this evening. I hope we see some folks out there. Certainly yesterday we had a conversation about the septic lagoon being proposed out at Webb Hill, so I hope and anticipate we'll see some folks out there tonight that have concerns about that, and obviously welcome a continuation of that conversation as the process continues. So look forward to seeing everybody tonight.